Today we're looking at this massive SH Figuarts Carnage. Thanks to everyone who sent in questions, we'll find out what's up with those craters on his back, the craziest pose he can do, and most importantly, if the figure is good. I'll answer these questions and more, so sit back while we discover everything there is to know about this crazy Spidey foe. What's up geeks, Kirk here, and welcome to the Geek Effect. So this Carnage action figure is based on the character's appearance in the 2021 film, Venom, There Be Carnage. Many people have mixed feelings about Sony's live-action Spider-Man movies, including myself, but Venom is my favorite of the ones they've released. When I saw Bandai was releasing both symbiote characters for their SH Figuarts line, I was very excited and wanted to add them to my collection at some point. Luckily, Bandai sent me this figure to look at, so huge thanks to them, and let's get right into it. Unlike the past figures I've collected, this one comes in a considerably larger box, and it's for a good reason. The box itself also looks pretty sick with its captivating graphics. You have a giant headshot of Carnage immediately catching your eyes, and the reflective foil for the name on the front, top, and sides adds a unique touch. However, it is worth noting that unlike the Venom figure they made, there's no plastic window to give you a peek at the figure inside, but for someone like me who unboxes their action figures, this isn't a huge issue. Flipping the box to the back, you'll find the usual product shots showcasing some of the dynamic poses this Carnage figure is capable of. It's a visual treat and gives you a glimpse of the figure's potential. Pulling out the tray, you'll find Carnage and all of his accessories, and of course there is the trusty instruction manual to guide you through some essential details about this figure. With everything laid out, we can dive into symbiotic chaos and see what this figure is all about. When I first saw the images for this figure, I was quite impressed, but my love for it has grown even more now that I actually have it in person and I've spent time with the figure.
This right here is my favorite thing ever. In the history of forever.
The craftsmanship of this figure is truly a sight to behold from head to toe. In the movie, Carnage is much larger than depicted in the comics, and SH Figuarts captured that perfectly. Carnage's head portrait is a solid recreation of what we saw in the film, from the head shape, eyes, and the nasty looking yellow teeth, showing this symbiote has no sense of hygiene. I also noticed the eyes have this glossy finish, giving it a wet and slimy appearance, which is a nice touch of detail. As for some other details I spotted on the head, there's a dark tone surrounding the eyes and mouth, just like we see in the movie, but this is where one of my biggest issues lies with this figure. This area should have been much darker like we saw in the film, and Bandai's promo images or even paint customs like this from Maxed Out Studios on Instagram show an accurate version of how it should have been. Moving past that though, I think the sculpting work here on the rest of the body is phenomenal, especially the arms, hands, legs, and feet. Flipping the figure around, you'll spot 4 craters at the back, which are the secret to unlocking maximum carnage with this figure, but we'll revisit that in a moment. Bandai matched the fleshy appearance of the symbiote with perfection, and those tendrils sticking out on the sides are well made. As for the rest of the details, Carnage has his black veins and tiny textures all over the red parts of the skin, and there's even some shading all over that makes this figure stand out compared to just one flat color. Being a collector that truly cares for attention to detail when it comes to their action figures and how well they accurately depict the reference material, I would say the team behind this Carnage figure did a solid job, even with some of the slight details that are missing. And not only that, but I think that they did a great job with the sculpting work of this figure, because it really captures that nasty, yucky feeling of the symbiote that we saw in the movie, and for a character that's being made in 1/12 scale, it really captures those intricate details that you would want to see. But this is just the beginning for how awesome this figure is, because with the help of some accessories, we can take it to the next level. The base figure we get out of the box is menacing and highly detailed, but if you saw the movie, you'd remember Carnage's design was pretty insane. I'm talking long tendrils at the back with all sorts of symbiotic weapons attached and that long, slimy tongue. SH Figuarts includes several accessories to help us achieve that look. First up, we get this alternate head sculpt which has the mouth open wide and his tongue sticking out. This portrait shows just how crazy the symbiote was in the movie, and I love it. From the intricate sculpted details for his stretched jaw to the immaculate paint applications for his tongue and teeth, this will be my go-to head to display on my Carnage figure. Side note, they did a much better job of the darker area on his face versus the alternate head sculpt. It is possible that the lighting is causing the illusion that one is darker than the other, but if that's not the case, I'd say this head is a better step towards how the dark area should have been. Out of the box, your Carnage starts off with relaxed hands, but alternate hands are always welcome to any figure because they add more character to it. For this one, we get 2 extra pairs of hands, splayed ones and fisted. You can easily pop the hands off the pegs of the arms and then swap them in and out to create some different hand variations. The sculpting of them looks great, and so does the shading that they added there as well. What I love most about the Carnage figure though is that he doesn't just come with these types of hands, but instead they gave him some weaponized hands like we see him use in the movie. Each piece's sculpting and painted details look just as good as the figure itself, and I'm sure it will be a lot of fun to use these when recreating poses. One thing I will make mention of is to pay attention to which blade you're placing on which arm, because it will look like they're the same at first, but if you pay close attention, you'll notice that one has the shaping of a right hand and the other has the shaping of a left hand, and that'll make sure that you put them on the right way. Now, a question one of you asked me about this figure was regarding the craters located on his back. These 4 craters, or ports if you will, attach the 4 tendrils included, and at the end of those tendrils are pegs to attach various weapon tips in any arrangement you desire. Doing this makes your Carnage even more of a threat to any Venom or Spider-Man in your collection. The weapon tips we get look amazing with their blade and spiky designs, but what's awesome is you can even use the hand attachments for the tendrils as well, thus giving you more variety. If you want to take things even further and make Carnage look crazier, you can even attach his actual hands instead, which looks pretty wild. Fun factor and variety is something I take into consideration when it comes to my action figures, and I would say that these offer a lot of that. I think you're going to have a lot of fun when it comes to the accessories that you're getting with Carnage. If you were to ask me what other weapon accessories they could have added, I'd have to say axe hands, but overall, I dig the selection of accessories we have. Each of the pieces does a terrific job of complementing that character's crazy style based on the movie, and I think it will leave fans satisfied for the most part. One of the most asked questions I received was regarding the size, so I've selected several Spidey related figures to show side by side. The figure itself stands at about 8.5 to 9 inches tall, but once you place this thing beside some other figures in your collections, whether it be Figuarts, Marvel Legends, Mafex, you'll really get a sense of how big this figure is and how well they captured that size that we got in the movie. First up, we have SH Figuarts Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Next, we have SH Figuarts The Amazing Spider-Man. Throwing in the only symbiote I had in my collection until now is the retro Marvel Legends Venom. Throwing a Spidey foe into the mix, we have the retro Marvel Legends Lizard. And then for one last foe, and based on the whole Spider-Man 2 hype going around, we have the retro Marvel Legends Kraven the Hunter. One of the things that makes or breaks an action figure is articulation, especially when it comes to import figures like SH Figuarts, which promise high-end articulation and posing for collectors. Even with Carnage being a massive figure, I feel SH Figuarts succeeded at giving him the best posability possible. The head has a lovely range of movement, allowing it to look this far down, this far up, and the neck is on a ball joint, giving him some side-to-side tilt. What I wasn't expecting to see was the head attached to a peg on a hinge, but this is totally fine in my eyes because it gives the figure some excellent range looking up and down. Moving forward, both of the arms have a butterfly joint, can raise this high, rotate at the shoulders, swivel at the biceps, bend at the elbows, and tilt and swivel at the wrist. The articulation in the body's midsection isn't awful, but there are a couple of limitations you'll run into. There's a fair amount of ab crunch going forward, can't turn the diaphragm much more than this, and you aren't able to tilt him back too much. I did kind of expect that when considering the craters on his back and how they would limit some of the movement. One thing I'm not too fond of with this Carnage figure is that when you crunch him forward, it does leave this pretty ugly gap at the back, but it is fixable because there is this extra piece you can push down and this will cover up that area. The only problem is you'll have to do this every single time you want to crunch the figure forward and hide that gap. As for the legs, we get a range of movement in the thighs, allowing them to rotate. You can kick the legs forward and out to the side. Carnage also has double jointed knees, but I did experience his right knee being tighter than the left, but that's nothing a bit of shock or silicone oil can't fix. Like many SH Figuarts, there is toe pivot in the feet as well, which is handy for certain poses you may try with this figure. Another question I received was how the tentacle articulation is, and after my experience with the tentacles, I'd say they're well designed and allow you to put them in various positions. I also found all the joints except for one to be tight, which is necessary for holding the tentacles in place. I believe other people ran into this problem with the tentacles, and they seem to only be loose at a specific rotation of the joint. So this is just one of the inconveniences you may experience when posing this figure. Posing is a vital factor of action figures, so some of you were curious to see the craziest pose he can do. After spending a bit of time with it, here are some of the poses I whipped up. Along with the promo shots, I think these will help give you an idea of what this figure is capable of doing. Ultimately, I am delighted with how this SH Figuarts Carnage turned out. I'm not saying the figure is 100% perfect, Bandai could have improved some things with this figure for sure, but outside of my small nitpicks, the quality on this figure in my overall experience with it is pretty high. The sculpt for this figure, paint applications, and accessories are some of my favorites on an import figure I've added to my collection. As for the price, it is a bit on the hefty side, coming in at about $135, so perhaps if they threw in a couple of more accessories like axe hands, I think that would have justified the price a bit more. Considering only 2 versions of this movie Carnage exist, the second being a $400 Hot Toys, this SH Figuarts is the more affordable option. Additionally, if you combine him with the Figuarts Venom, you would have both characters for less than the price of one Hot Toys figure. So this whole decision definitely comes down to preference, what you're willing to spend, and what you value most when it comes to your action figures. If any of the things I mentioned throughout this review matter to you, then SH Figuarts Carnage is definitely the way to go. I would like to hear your thoughts on this figure though, especially if you own it, so leave a comment below. And if you're interested in picking it up, I'll leave a link in the description to where you can buy it at the time of this video's release. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button to let me know, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you all soon with more action figure goodness. Peace.